Sweet corn production systems typically rely on tillage and residual herbicides to control weeds. However, frequent tillage can negatively impact soil health, and selection for herbicide-resistant weed populations necessitates alternative strategies for weed control. Organic mulch from dead cover crop biomass can create a thick surface residue capable of suppressing annual weed germination. But this residue decomposes over the growing season and rarely can provide season-long suppression of weed growth. Another strategy is to use perennial cover crop species, which can work like a living mulch and actively compete with weeds the entire growing season. However, competition between the living mulch and the main crop must be minimized to avoid possible yield reductions. In this experiment, we tested a biculture cover crop treatment, which combined alternating rows of an annual cover crop with the perennial living mulch to determine whether it could provide the benefits of both the organic mulch and living mulch simultaneously. One living mulch treatment alternated 2 rows of red clover living mulch with 3 rows of forage radish, an annual cover crop species that dies naturally during winter. As a result, the radish residue would suppress winter annual weed growth as it decomposes in early spring, resulting in bare ground planting rows without the use of strip tillage. Alternatively, we also tested red clover living mulch combined with cereal rye, which creates a dense weed suppressive surface residue in the sweet corn planting rows. The 2 living mulch treatments were compared against a standard mixture of rye, forage radish, and crimson clover that was either planted with no tillage or with conventional tillage. A residual herbicide treatment was applied as a split plot treatment, with each cover crop tillage treatment as the main plot to determine whether cover crops could have similar efficacy as standard herbicides. In order to differentiate between the impacts of weed pressure and living mulch competition on sweet corn yield, weeds were managed manually in all plots. To measure treatment impact on weeds in the absence of weeding, 2 unweeded areas were established within each subplot. All weeds were collected from one of the 2 unweeded areas per subplot 6 weeks after planting, then again in the remaining unweeded area at crop harvest. All collected weeds were identified, dried, and weighed to determine total weed biomass. To measure sweet corn yield, all marketable ears were harvested and counted from the center 4 rows of each subplot. Results of this study show that both living mulch biculture treatments suppress weeds as effectively as the standard tillage and herbicide treatment. Additionally, weed biomass was similar between living mulch subplots with and without herbicide application, indicating that the living mulch alone provided sufficient weed suppression. Additionally, both living mulch treatments yielded similar to the standard conventional till treatment, indicating that competition with the living mulch did not result in a yield reduction. Overall, our findings indicate that living mulch may be an effective alternative strategy for suppressing weeds in sweet corn systems.